why do two North American countries have failed to take strong action on the Khalistani / separatist politics in Canada and America? Why has that happened?
So it's sort of a multifaceted explanation on a lot of things. Number one is just sheer ignorance. Most people don't understand. You say Khalistan, they think Palestine. That's just the number one thing. In Canada, there's some growing awareness of what Khalistan is because they're running around looking like lunatics on the streets, and they now have a significant role in the narco-terrorism, fentanyl trafficking. People are seeing the immigration fraud. So these issues are coming up. But, you know, you had the political correctness, and then you also have these sort of isolated community politics. So if there's two facets of racism here, you have the, let's say, right-wing racism, which is, oh, they're just a bunch of brown people, who cares? I don't care about brown people. And then you have the left-wing racism, which is, oh, they're brown, so they must have some sort of point, and I don't want to impose my colonial things on them. So this is like the Air India bombing, the Kanishka bombing, right? The perpetrators were brown, the victims were brown, so everyone just wanted to take a wash, and then no one really knows about it, right? So you also have the Indian diaspora, which was very cowed and threatened into silence. And, you know, very rarely you're going to find people outside of the community the most affected that's going to talk about this. So for, Greek immigrants or Ukrainians or people from Mexico, none of them really suffered from anything to do with Khalistan until they got into the wider CCP, Muslim Brotherhood, cartel networks where, you saw the immigration fraud and, now with the trucker making a U-turn in the middle of the street and killing 3 people, being linked to Sikhs for Justice and Panun, right? Stuff like that is starting to build awareness. So the number one thing is just like lack of awareness. And then you also have like you could say wokeness of the West. Khalistan did very well in that thing because, a lot of the criticisms of India is why doesn't Canada respect the territorial integrity of India? Because Canada doesn't respect the territorial integrity of Canada. What do you mean we're going to respect your territorial integrity? We don't respect our own. There's always land acknowledgements. We're on stolen land. We're on borrowed land. Oh, we're an evil country. We're the worst. Balkanize ourselves. So if we're trying to balkanize our own country, how do you convince someone that balkanizing your country is immoral wrong? And they got in bed with the Muslim Brotherhood, and they learned the language of intersectionality and interfaith, and they learned very much to frame themselves as like, oh, it's a Sikh versus Hindu, right? India's a Hindu oppressive state, which is very synergized as well with the Muslim Brotherhood, right? The Qataris spend tons of money undermining Israel, undermining India, undermining America with the sort of oppressor-oppressed victim Olympics for their own gain. I mean, I don't believe for a second that any of the jihadist states really care about intersectional oppression or women's rights or any of that, but they like using it to undermine the concept of nationalism. So the Khalistanis work very well in the system where the red-green alliance of the communists and Islamists, add in...
Did you find Khalistan in India?
No, there's... I've been all over India looking. I have yet to find a Khalistan in India, but I have been to the Republic of Western Khalistan, which is British Columbia, and the Republic of Eastern Khalistan in Brampton, Ontario. So that's where you can, wave a Khalistani flag, whack a Hindu, and then become a politician. We have many Khalistani-friendly or aligned politicians in our country, so we're eventually doing that. And like the good news is, I think there's a bit of a tide turning because people saw it's starting to come to consciousness of the wider Canadian community because again it was very much a contained issue inside the Indian diaspora, and a lot of the Indian diaspora was I think rightfully kind of scared to talk about it because during the Air India bombing, the reason why so many of them got off and didn't get prosecuted is because they murdered all the witnesses.
But why do they have so much of breathing space in the democratic structure? In any other politics, they would have been, not to use the word quarantine politically, but they would have been rendered ineffective in the political system. They have not only a strong presence, but they're pretty effective in the entire democratic structure. They're member of parliaments.
Yeah.
They are influential. They decide who can be the prime minister.
Well, maybe not the prime minister, but they do have political influence because they're very good, especially in the Canadian system of infiltration. And people, what India fails to realize, and I've always pushed back at this for the last 2 years, they say the Khalistani vote bank, it's vote bank politics. It's actually not. Khalistan hurts you in a general election, and that's what the Conservatives suffered with, one of their problems among many. But Khalistan is very effective at infiltrating in the primaries, right? It's not primaries, but in the nomination elections. So in Canada, when it's a federal election, Liberal versus Conservative versus NDP, that's a real election. It's a democracy. It's real. Those are real things. When it's internal party elections, that's third world banana republic on steroids, okay? It's all fake. It's all controlled. And they're very good at influencing that. So when there's, a vote of less than 1,000 people to determine who's going to be the nomination for the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, the NDP, if you can bus in a bunch of people from a Gurdwara, or Chinese cultural center, or in a mosque, it's like one of those open secrets where that okay, in Mississauga that's a territory of the Muslim Brotherhood, in Brampton it's a territory of the Khalistanis, and Markham is owned by the CCP. So there's certain, not all of them, but there's certain ridings in Canada where you have blue Khalistan, red Khalistan, orange Khalistan, and then blue Muslim Brotherhood, red Muslim Brotherhood, orange Muslim Brotherhood, and blue CCP, red CCP, orange CCP. And they pay money to the right people. And in Canada, especially, it's not illegal to rig an internal party election. So it's not illegal. It's not, Elections Canada doesn't cover it. So you can full on take bribes, rig an election, and, that's not even illegal, right? So if the Liberals are caught doing something shady in an election, they are the judge, jury, and executioner, and prosecutor, and defending witness. So, the Liberal Party went to the Liberal Party and found the Liberal Party not guilty. Wow. Conservatives, NDP, the same thing.